Fuck you, Kenny Pickett. Hello and welcome to the Monday Night Wars. It is December 30th, 1996, and we are live with WCW Nitro in the Knoxville Civic Coliseum. You guessed it, in Knoxville, Wisconsin. No, it's Tennessee. I'm kidding. I just love doing that because in America, there are 50 places probably named Knoxville. It's just the way we do things.
Especially if you're Texas. Texas loves to steal other cities.
Paris, Texas. There's probably New York,
Texas.
Yeah, it's so good. God bless Texas. God bless the great state of Texas. Anyways, it is Knoxville, Tennessee, for point of clarity. But let's get into it. This is going to be an interesting one because Joseph liked this Nitro. I didn't.
No, I don't like this Nitro.
Oh, you're looking back at the card because you were like, no, I think it's okay. You're looking back at the card going, nope. All right. Well, let's get into it.
Oh, so man, I gotta stop you right there. Okay. So we started this episode with you saying, fuck you, Kenny Pickett. Those were your exact words.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. What did he do? He do something?
Kenny Pickett is headed to the locker room.
Oh, Kenny, come back. Kenny, come back. I don't even know who you got after that.
Like, I can't believe you hurt Kenny Pickett like that.
I need someone to throw to AJ Brown. And that shit ain't gonna happen now, is it? Dude, I'm so cooked. Who they even got? Who's their third quarterback? Like, who is it?
Yeah, they're probably just gonna pull a fan out of the stands and just put some pads on him and say, go out there, champ.
What about if he starts hitting AJ Brown in the numbers, bro? That'd be hot.
It's just like Mark Wahlberg.
Bro. What about if Tom Brady? Is he there? Is he doing the commentary for this game?
Oh, good point.
Ooh, what about Tom Brady comes out?
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be so hot. Tom Brady, greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
That's going to get some people mad at me for saying, but it's true. It is.
No, it's true. It's statistically true. He is the greatest fucking quarterback of all time. There is no ifs, ands, or buts.
Look, I don't like the Patriots either, bro, but Tom Brady, GOAT. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a
fact. Yeah. So real quickly for the listeners, because they're probably like, why is this going off the rails? It is championship week in fantasy football, and Scott and I are half doing the podcast, half frantically staring at our phones, hoping for scores going our way. So that's what's going on. Catch you guys up on that.
I'm so fucking cooked, bro. It's over. It's just over. Anyways. What's also over is 1996, because this is the last Raw and Nitro of 1996, which means there is the light at the end of the tunnel, Joseph. 1997 is coming, and we like 1997.
Well, the beginning's not great, but yes, eventually it'll get there.
I've completely just blanked early 1997 from my memory, but we like 1997. The episode, of course, starts with a recap of the pay-per-view. We had a pay-per-view last night. We had Starrcade, WCW's WrestleMania, and then the main event wasn't for the title. But to find out how upset we were about that, you got to listen to Patreon, which is only how much, Joseph?
I think it's $2 a month, Scott.
That's an incredible deal. And you get the pay-per-views. You get long forms of the shows when we got them. When we go long and we got to cut stuff, we give you the full, unedited, unabridged editions. Well, mostly unabridged in case we say something just horribly offensive.
Yeah, I think there's only been one time where Scott's job is politic adjacent. Let's call it that. And so he said something that really wasn't bad, but he was like, you know what, we might want to not include that. So that way that's not, and I was like, all right, it really wasn't bad, but I was like, yeah, anyone could throw a fit about this for any reason. So we made sure to remove that one, but that's the one time. Everything else for the most part. Plus usually I'm the one saying the crazy shit. So you can just be like, well, I had nothing to do with it, blah, blah, blah. Also, Baker Mayfield just threw another touchdown.
Oh my God. I'm going against Baker Mayfield. Oh my God. And for the record, I don't have Kenny Pickett. I'm not playing Kenny Pickett. I'm playing Sam Darnold, but I got Saquon Barkley I got AJ Brown, and I got what, Jake Elliott. Is that their kicker? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
his name? I got those 3 guys in, and so if they're not going down the field, I got problems. and they already weren't going down the field, and
Yeah.
now they're not going to go down the field with the guy they picked up, in Central Casting or wherever the hell they're getting. I don't know, like just fucking went.
Craft services. They just found someone.
Bro, they probably went down in the old days. I don't think this is true anymore, but in the old days, this is how rowdy Philadelphia fans are. They had a courtroom at the Eagles Stadium with a judge, a real honest to God judge. So they could bring rowdy fans down to the basement where they had this impromptu courtroom, and he could just sentence people right there. That's how rowdy Philadelphia games were. They had an honest to God judge being public intoxication, 6 months probation or whatever. They're probably going down there right now, just trying to get the montliest fucking crew they can. Just like, hey, it's like in the old days where you could like get your sentence reduced if you like enlisted in the army or something like that. Like if you went to war, like we'll forget that you murdered somebody. That's probably what they're doing right now. They're probably down there going, "Hey, bro, if you can throw, we'll just forget this. We'll forget this slight." So it's God help me. God help me.
But speaking of rowdy, the NWO has Rowdy Roddy Piper stuck in their heads, don't they, Scott?
What a segue.
I had that the minute you said Rowdy fans, I was like, I'm gonna beat him to this one. I got this one.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah. So Rowdy Roddy Piper won, but it wasn't for the title. So who the fuck cares?
Not the NWO, because they immediately pretend nothing happened.
Yeah, it's just like, and then the show starts. So we got Tony and Larry, and they talk about last night. We get some stills. That's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to add before we get into our first match?
So the show does open with the NWO showing up. They're backstage. They've all come out of their limos and everything, and they're kind of pretending everything's great. But Giant himself doesn't agree. He's a little ticked off about the previous night. Hogan stops and says, "Look, we're all blood. We're all family. You don't drop the ball, but you dropped the ball." And Giant says, "Look, when I won at the World War III Battle Royal and I beat 60 other men, you told me I would get a title shot because that was what was on the line in that match." Hogan says that's true, but the title shot's a bye for them, like a bye week. Speaking of football, bye weeks, playoffs, it's a bye for them. You know what I mean? As long as the title stays in the family, we're all cool. What he means, though, is as long as the title stays on me, we're all cool. And Giant says, so you're telling me I can't have a chance as the lead dog? And Hogan says, yeah, pretty much. And don't embarrass me again. Then Ted DiBiase realizes they're kind of, some dissension in the ranks, so he pushes away the cameraman. But really more importantly in this, we get to really see Hogan for what he is. I thoroughly enjoyed this whole opening.
Yeah, Hogan shooting. It's just like, which it's kind of funny how it's really good from a storyline angle, right? This just like diva kind of thing, title stays on me, but I also don't feel like it's a story.
Yeah,
it's real.
Really a story. They looked around and they said, "Well, this is what's going on. Let's just write it down." Yeah,
that's some of the best stuff, though.
Yeah.
What's not the best though is that we got Public Enemy and the Amazing French Canadians in a match. I mean, it's not bad, but it's also
no, it's bad. This is a Public Enemy match. It's
Public 3 minutes 30 seconds. Go ahead.
They put themselves through the table and the Canadians win. I gave it a D. It's not good.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Well, next we got Ultimo Dragon versus Jushin Thunder Liger. This is the Jake. Ultimo got the J crown. I looked this up because I didn't actually know. So for you all in your New Japan history, there's probably tons of guys listening going, "Fuck, it doesn't know New Japan. What a fucking loser." This was like 8 titles that they were unifying together into like one, and it was called the J Crown. Ultimo currently has the J Crown, and everybody wants it. Everyone wants the hottest title in town. So Jushin says, "I'm on it 4 minutes 39 seconds. But does he get it?
Well, I mean, he does Jushin get it? No, Jushin does not get
Oh,
it. I thought you said Ultimo for a second. I was like, we just saw him get it. Yeah, no, this is a very fun match. It sees Ultimo Dragon win with the double underhook suplex again, and they play on Liger's head damage because he had brain surgery 2 months prior to this. They're saying that really hurt his head. One of the reasons he couldn't get out of it, because in defense of WCW, they do treat Jushin Thunder Liger with a lot of reverence, which I do appreciate. And so if you're going to make him lose strong. And I think they did that. I love both these guys. Jushin Thunder Liger is probably my favorite Japanese wrestler of all time. I'm not saying he's the best by any stretch, but he's definitely up there. I love the outfits. I've got a whole Jushin Thunder Liger collection. I just really appreciate him. As a kid, he's, very colorful and flamboyant, and I like some of his darker characters and stuff. And I just think he's just a lot of fun. He's timeless. And so anytime I get the chance to see him, like we saw him in the very first episode of Nitro, the debut episode, and I was just so thrilled to see that. So anytime he pops up in WCW, I'm fucking happy and thrilled by it. So gave us a B+, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, an Ultimo Jushin match is cinema. It's cinema. And I also should note that, Ultimo has the J Crown, but he also has the WCW World Cruiserweight Championship, right? Because he won that last night. And he also has a Mexican belt. This dude's got 10 belts right now. Talking about the belt collector, someone else was trying to call themselves the belt collector. You didn't have 10 damn championships. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that was the illusion they were doing. So that's the whole point of that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. After that, though, we got ourselves a strap match. We got Conan. We got Big Bubba. But wait, we don't have Big Bubba, Joseph. Big Bubba nowhere to be found. 2 minutes, 37 seconds. Who we got instead?
Instead, we have, and I really don't understand why they did this. Instead, we have Mike Wall Street, which I think they're going back to Mr. Wall Street. God, I wish they would just stick with one fucking name for this guy. It always ends in Wall Street. That's all you really need to know. Wall Street says that Bubba can't make it, but he wants Wall Street to let Conan know that Bubba ain't afraid of him. Then they have a strap match instead, and they do the spot where one guy tags 3 of the 4 corners, but the other guy secretly tags them behind just to tag the 4th one first before the other one can. It's a very quick and completely useless strap match. There's no reason for it. I've said this before. Strap matches are either really, really good or really, really bad. This is really, really bad. There's no point to it. I gave this a D.
I've got a great name for, you're right, it's Mr. Wall Street right now, but I got a great name for him. You want to hear it?
Go for it.
Mike Rotunda. Just call him his name. It's fine.
Well, and it's kind of the thing, right? Like the NWO, their whole thing is more like realism and not gimmicks. So yeah just call him, like, he should be Mike Rotunda. And Big Bubba, what's his name?
I'll Google it right now. Clickety clack, clickety clack. Ray Washington Traylor Jr.
Ray Traylor. Like, what a great name.
Yeah.
Just go with that.
There you go. It's easy. It's easy. But you're right. I mean, to me, I feel like strap matches are rivalries, people that really got beef with one another. Like, strap matches are brutal. They're slapping each other with the strap. They're pulling each other around. Like, those are rough matches. Why? What issue did Conan and Big Bubba have?
Well, they actually had one because Big Bubba was part of Dungeon of Doom and he betrayed them and joined the NWO. And they've made this about Conan and Big Bubba. They've done this for a few weeks. So like there is a storyline here. But to your point, build to the strap match. And then clearly it looks like, so here's what I think happened. They said, we're going to have a strap match on this night. And then something happened, travel issues, whatever. And Big Bubba couldn't make it. Right. And got tied up somewhere. So then they're like, oh, well, we'll just have Mike Rotunda do this instead. It's like, no, don't do that. Just do a different match. You could have just done a standard match between these two guys. It would have made a lot of sense.
I think part of my problem was that I forgot that Conan was in Dungeon of Doom because he shouldn't be, because it's dumb.
Correct.
And I think that was part of my problem. Like, oh yeah, because they're mad that Bubba left or whatever. But who cares? No one cares. No one cares. You know what else no one cares about?
What's that, Scott?
This next promo, because it sucks. Hogan and Bischoff come out, and it is just more Hogan being Hogan.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Hogan says he felt bad for Piper and that's why he didn't want to demolish him. He then just pretends he won. I understand what they're trying to do, but this simply just doesn't work. Hogan lost. To just not acknowledge that is so folly from a storyline standpoint. Also, like, what happened to the angle of 1 month ago? Like, you know, in 1 month, you turn your WCW contracts into NWO contracts. Like, that's over. That is over now, and that there's no payoff to that. So we've got like all these NWO things. Like, this is where you start to see the NWO. Like, oh, here's like, these are glaring cracks because like these segments are getting worse. Like, they're not interesting anymore. There's no more like who is part of the NWO because you've watered it down by just having, you know, mid card or lesser people join the NWO, and so now they're losing legitimacy. Hogan has his you know, bad guy persona has pretty much kind of become the same over and over. So it's starting to lose its shine, as it were. It's not really evolving. And now you're just straight up saying, like, oh, no, we didn't lose, which could work. You just really have to commit to it. And it would make more sense if you had like them the whole night trying to fight this idea that he lost, right? Like, they'll do little things where like there's a tape that they're going to play or something like that. And Bischoff says you can't play it. Like, that should have been the whole night, is like them, you know, every time the production, like holding up the production truck, not letting them play any stills or footage and all kinds of things. So that way they could, you know, NWO is really trying to erase the history of Hogan's loss. That might have worked. But just to have like a throwaway promo like this and be like, oh, I didn't lose. It falls flat on its face. I gave it a D.
Yeah, rebooking this would be so easy.
Yeah.
You admit that he lost, but Hogan comes out with the title and just like, it didn't matter. I mean, you just do, it's the truth, right? It was a non-title match. It doesn't matter. That's all Hogan said. You know, I went easy on the guy. He's a cripple. You know, he deserved a good retirement. You could do something like that. Like, yeah, like I went easy on the guy because he's a cripple. I gave him a good retirement send off. And brother, it don't matter because I still got the gold, right? And then Piper you know, and that leads up to the Piper goes, okay, then why don't we do it for real this time? Why don't we do it for the title, right? That would be like a perfect way to keep this going. But instead, it's just this. Yeah, you're right. Just I didn't lose, but you did, and they don't do a very good job of it. I think it would just be better just to say, yeah, I lost, but you know, I gave Piper a nice retirement party because he's an old crippled man that shouldn't be wrestling anymore, and I still got the gold. Who cares? Because that leads to the title match, right? But I don't know. This is not a good episode of Raw or Nitro. I'm so used to saying not a good episode of Raw. It's just ingrained in my mind. The cracks are starting to show in NWO, like we said. They better get together because WWF is going to start clicking in 1997. It's coming, guys. It's coming.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. But there's going to be some stuff that's going to piss us off before we get there.
Yeah, it's going to be a long early 1997. After that, though, we got Hugh Morris and Kensuke Sasaki in a match, 4 minutes, 40 seconds. Like, what? Again, what is this? What is this? I mean, I guess it's kind of just like a fine blow-off match, but I feel like the Japanese wrestlers have a bit of a storyline, and with Sonny Ono and remember the Japanese were like taking over? Like, what happened with that? We're just kind of putting them in plug and play matches now. What's going on?
WCW has no idea how to not start their shit. It's really embarrassing, honestly. Like WWF is telling bad stories, but they're at least staying consistent with them. And then WCW is doing the opposite, where they're telling good stories and then just stopping them. And then a few weeks later, they'll pick them up again. And you're like, wait, but we lost all the steam behind that.
Tell me about the match, though.
Yeah. During this is actually what I mentioned is Bischoff tells Schiavone that the tape that they have that they've been teasing all night about the actual loss, he's not allowed to show, blah, blah, blah. He takes tape away. And then they like go, well, we're going to show images from it anyway. So it's like, fucking, what was the point of that whole segment?
Exactly.
So
that was in my notes, but they pull the tape, but then they show stills anyway. So it's like, what's the story here?
Yeah. Morris hits his gorgeous moonsault, but Ono hits him with the Japanese flag and gets the DQ. what was the point then? Morris won either way. This is just more questionable booking. Like I don't understand why they did this. I gave it a D.
Not a good night for WCW, my friend. Can WWF win? You seem to actually kind of like. We talked before. You actually kind of like WWF tonight. This is exciting. People are gonna have to keep listening to see if they actually win this week. Because I'm not hot. I am not about WCW this week. It's just not good.
No, it's not. It's not good.
After that, though, we get Harlem Heat and Faces of Fear. So that's at least finally we got something, right, Joseph? Tell me about this 3 minute 39 second match. 3 minutes 39 seconds. What? The next match is longer than this match. Just keep that in mind as we go forward.
we sure do have something. Whether that something is worth it remains to be seen. Colonel Parker comes out and spanks Sherry, who beats him up. The Canadians throw black powder in the eyes of Stevie Ray, but then Booker T lands a shot on Meng and just flips the pin, and Harlem Heat win. What the hell is going on with booking? Like, another overbooked end. Like, you just threw in a bunch of man. Like, in my brain, if you throw powder in someone's eyes, that person is going to lose. But then they were like,
blind.
No. Yeah.
They're blind.
They're like, no, we swerved you. Like, no, you just fucking wasted everybody's time. I don't get it. Anyways, I gave it a D. Did not like.
Probably most importantly, though, we get the announcement of the highlight of the night is that we're going to have a little person match. They mentioned that.
Yes, they do.
I think they use a different word. I'm going to use little person because I think that's invoked now. But yeah, so this was the match I was looking. This is when I was watching this and I just went, I'm done with this. I'm done with WCW tonight because like this match, I'm like, this is the match right here. This is it. Two of my favorite tag teams going at it. 3 minutes 39 seconds, and the next match, which has your boy Disco Inferno and my boy Glacier, is 4 minutes and 18 seconds.
That's true, but there is something before that.
I know there is, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Because that's the next match, and it's like, what?
Yeah, it's wild.
As you mentioned, there's something in between. We got a DDP promo. He said he's going to fix things with NWO. Which, again, is kind of like, I thought we had a good finish to that, but now we're what's going on?
No, we definitely did not have a finish to that. I think this is probably the one segment that I really think stood up well. Like, I don't think there's really much debate on. So Gene asked DDP what's going on with them, because obviously they at the pay-per-view, which, you know, you got to pay $2 a month to find out about, but I'm gonna have to tell you it anyways, because it actually directly correlates to this. They attacked him. You know, he had been saying, I'm not going to join, and then they attacked him. DDP says, don't worry about it. He isn't crying. He's a fixer, and he will fix it and move on. He says that, you know, maybe he is a little stubborn. Maybe he doesn't always get it right away, but when you get dropped on your head, you get it. He tells Gene that the NWO is too strong right now, but he knows what he has to do. He knows what's going to happen. Gene asks, what is he going to do? And DDP just says, NWO. I really enjoyed DDP's conviction in this. He is very clearly alluding to, I am going to join them because I cannot beat them, which I think will really have a huge payoff for him. I gave this an A+. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I liked DDP in this. I just kind of thought we were done with it. So I was like, what? But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. You, my guy, say give this a benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to do it. But I have concerns. And then we recap Hogan and Giant again from earlier. It's like, again, what? We just saw this.
Yeah.
And Hogan lying about him winning. Piper's in the house. He's here. And then we have our match. So tell me about this 4 minute, 18 second, longer than our tag team match, Glacier Disco Inferno match.
Yeah.
Absurd.
This is bad, and it gets an F. Glacier wins, by the way.
Does he win with a karate kick?
He does win with a karate kick.
The slowest karate kick in the business.
Yeah.
His moves. I remember liking Glacier as a kid, but I think I remember liking him from the video game. like WCW Mayhem or whichever one I had. I actually have it right here. I can pull it out and tell you exactly what it is. Hold on here. Let me go through. I don't know if it's gonna pick up any of this. WCW NWO Revenge. That's the one. That's the one.
That's the second WCW NWO game, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one I've got, and the one that made me fall in love. But he is so slow. Every one of his moves, it kind of feels like you're playing a video game, and like he's doing like the slow wind up for his heavy attack, and that's the chance you have to attack him, kind of thing, like in a video game monster battle or whatever. It's like every move is so slow.
Yeah.
And then his kick is like Disco Inferno just had to be like just there, just like for hours. It's crazy bad. Oh.
There's nowhere to go with it. It's just it's disappointing.
Then we get stills from last night. Chris Benoit and Jeff Jarrett went at it, and there was a lot of interference. And Jeff Jarrett got the pin, even though he was dead, because Arn messed him up, and then Arn was mad that he still got the win because Benoit. He was trying to do something for Benoit because Benoit's a horseman, but then Benoit blew it and lost. And that brings us to Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho, I guess. I don't know. Because I guess they got beef now. 4 minutes. Tell me about it.
All right. In defense of that, this is a good TV match to have. This is the kind of TV match I'd love to see just weekly. Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. It's a fantastic, way to do this. We finally have some watchable TV after one bad segment after another. Jericho, really takes it to Benoit, including hitting a missile drop kick out of the ring. But Benoit, we kind of knew was going to win this one. Like Jericho's been on a hot streak, but not this level of a hot streak. And Benoit ultimately wins it with an avalanche back suplex, which I like. It's a little bit different, not how he always wins his matches. I gave this a B. It's very watchable TV.
Yeah, it's a good match. Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. I mean, come on. But and again, I think I'm just so annoyed by tonight. Like everything annoyed me. I was just like, why?
Yeah.
Every match I just go, why? I don't know. and then we get an interview, but Arn's not there. I did kind of like that Deborah's like really nice to the woman to her face. I did kind of like that angle.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's been talking shit about her for weeks, and now it's like, oh, we're girlfriends, and it's like, and all that. Jarrett comes out. He says he wants to be a horseman. He wants to know where Arn is, but Flair says Arn's off partying, which seems like something Arn would do. Arn seems like a really real party animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this whole thing is just weird. What did you make of this?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just weird. It is, it is what it is. There's not really much to go into. I gave it a D. It's not great. I really feel like Flair just doesn't give a shit right now. Like he has been bad for weeks. He's just phoning it in. He says all the exact same things. I can literally recite a Flair promo for you right now. He's going to talk about how they're styling and profiling. He's going to say that woman, oh woman, won't you marry me now? He's going to call Kevin Sullivan the devil, and he's going to dance with one, if not both of them. That's all he's done for weeks now. And it's just like, which I get, like he doesn't have a whole lot to do because he is injured. So it's kind of hard for him to really be part of it. But I really just feel like just keep him off TV then. That way, when he comes back, it's super momentous. But in the last few weeks, it's just been like, oh God, like after the first time, it's just boring.
It would work for the storyline, right? Like the Horsemen are falling apart because Ric Flair's not here.
Right.
Because he's home recovering from an injury. But he's here every night. So why are they still falling apart? I don't understand. I don't know. But what I do know is we got Lee Marshall, and that just kind of brings me right back.
There you go.
That brings me right back. Lee Marshall is here. He's having another Nitro party because that's all Lee does. Well, Lee hosts Nitro parties, and he does commentary on women's wrestling because he is an expert. Those are really the two things that Lee Marshall does, and I'm for it. I am for it. Do you have any comments on this Lee Marshall vignette?
I always have comments on some Lee Marshall. Lee is in Monroe, Louisiana. He's doing great with mighty tasty gumbo, according to him. He says, Bobby, renowned Cajun chef Tipsy Le Gordon is creating a dish in Bobby's honor. You're going to love crayfish and weasel etouffee. Just fucking amazing. Bobby says, with that face, you look like you fell off a bag of nacho chips. Also, that chef does not exist. No word on whether or not the dish exists, but the chef for sure does not. I gave it an A+. Of course, I love me some Lee Marshall.
What if Lee Marshall's the chef? That's his alter ego.
Whoa.
Yeah. Party haver, women's wrestling aficionado, gourmet chef. What can't the man
Gourmet Cajun chef, yeah.
Yeah, also Tony the Tiger, which I got to mention every time, because every time I hear him, I just hear Tony the Tiger and I laugh because it's just great. But that brings us to the match of the night. It's our little person match. Octagoncito Mascarita Sagrada versus Gerito Estrada and Paratita Morgan. That's our match. This is a little person match. These matches are very popular in Mexico. They're comedic. It's funny. That's what they're supposed to be. If you're on social media, you actually might see these matches. A lot of people will do the if wrestling's fake, explain this, and it's like a little person match where they're getting over on a normal sized person or whatever. I think they're okay. I've seen some of these. I think they have their place. Is their place on Monday Night Nitro just completely unexplained? Maybe not.
The problem is not whether or not you should have matches with little individuals. I have no problem with that. It's that you are taking advantage of and doing it out of malice isn't the right word. Not even spite. It's a joke. You're making it a joke.
Hey, these matches are 100% designed to be comedic. That's kind of their purpose.
And
like
that's
a palate cleanser comedic match.
It's not even comedic to be like, hey, look how creative these people are. It's comedic to be like, ha ha ha, get it? They're all small. It's not funny. It gets an F. I have no notes beyond that. I just was like, this is an F. I just fast forwarded it. I was so done.
Yeah, I'd be fine. I would be fine with little people in a match. I don't understand why we're having this match, right? Like, there's no lead up to it. It's just like, oh, we got a little person match. Here it is,
right?
And it's supposed to be funny. It's like a big little person versus a little person match because two of them are larger than the other two, and that's kind of the joke, I guess. And I don't know. Like, I've seen some of these where I'm like, that's fun, right? Like, I've seen some that are fun where they're like getting over on like you see matches where it's like a normal sized guy versus a little person. The normal sized guy's like, oh, who cares? A little person, I'll wipe the floor with him. And then the little person beats the crap out of him, right? Good match. Good David and Goliath kind of thing. Fun.
Yeah, we call those Rey Mysterio matches.
We see him every week. But this is not. This is not.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're going to have a little person match, why isn't it just Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio, which is our next match?
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
Tell me about it, Joseph.
Because of the aforementioned little people match, we have no entrances for these wrestlers. We just go right in the action, which, I love. Obviously, these two men put on a banger. Like, it's just going to be obvious. It's also so easy to see why Ray developed major knee issues, because when he's doing this match, you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, you don't have to do all of these moves all the time. The match does end in a timeout draw, by the way. It's just a draw for both men. I like that WCW utilizes this. They're kind of inconsistent because it's supposed to be 10-minute time limit draw, but they don't always ring the bell at 10 minutes. So that is what it is. But I do enjoy these. I think they're quite fun, and I enjoyed this match. It's one of the few highlights of the show. I gave it a B+.
I forgot to time this one because that is an excellent point of yours, is that kind of like the time limits when it's used creatively, but they also don't really adhere to the time limit, because we've had 14-minute matches, we've had 18-minute matches, we've had all over the place. Sometimes they call time at like 9 minutes. Like, so I should have had my stopwatch going, but I wasn't expecting it to be a time limit draw because I was coming in cold. And so I wasn't really ready, and I don't even have a time on it because I guess let me see if anywhere else has the time. We'll keep going, but I'm gonna look and see if I can find the time on this match while we keep talking. Because most importantly, we got to talk about this main event because this is what everyone
Absolutely.
came to see. This is we had Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan, two of the greatest wrestlers of all time, go at it last night. How do you top that, Joseph? Well, I say you put Lex Luger and Greg Valentine in your main event, don't you?
Isn't it Bobby Eaton? Isn't that who's wrestling him? Was it Greg Valentine? I don't even remember.
You don't even know. I got Greg Valentine, bro. Is it Bobby Eaton? Because I got Greg Valentine.
You're not wrong.
It's really a vehicle for what happens next, right? That's really the only purpose. Is we have this kind of quick match. It's only 2 minutes 39 seconds, and then we get our end of the show pull apart that Eric Bischoff loves, right, Joseph?
So it's a Roddy Piper promo, essentially, is how this starts. Piper talks about how proud he is of his match and how much he appreciates the fans when Hogan and Bischoff stormed the ring. So far, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Piper calls himself the icon. He did earn it. And Hogan has to smell it, eat it, and poop it, which I thought was honestly a funny line. I don't really know what it means, but it was funny. Hogan tells Piper to tell the people to shut up because he has something to say. Hogan then says the only reason he didn't beat Piper was Piper's son begged him to take it easy on him. Specifically, easy on Pops is the words he used. Piper then says, you know what, let's do it one more time. The NWO run in and they attack him. Giant slowly steps into the ring and watches the mayhem. Hogan tells Giant to chokeslam Piper. He picks up Piper, then drops him and stares at the NWO. Hogan says, we have a problem. Medical personnel come for Piper, and Hogan says that Giant dropped the ball again. He says last night was 1 strike, this was 2 strikes, and then he slaps him and says it's 3 strikes, you're out. And then Giant chokes Hogan. And he says he wants the gold. And Hogan, and I actually did like this, Hogan is crying and says, oh, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. Okay. I'll give you the match. I love you, man. And shakes his hand. I didn't realize it was this important to you, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's okay. I'm sorry. You have your match. And he leaves the ring. And the NWO is like looking at him to make sure he's okay. And then he says, get him. And the NWO run in, and then naturally they all attack the Giant one by one because that makes sense. So he starts fighting them all off, and eventually they gang up on him, and then Hogan beats him with the title as we kind of fade out to black. The only other interesting note on this, after the Giant gets beat up a shit ton, is that Nick Patrick actually has an NWO shirt on now. So he's officially the NWO's referee. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no like, oh, I'm going to sue you for saying that. Like, he actually is the referee for the NWO. So that's kind of the most interesting thing about that. I did like the segment for the most part. I thought it was fine. I gave it an A. I know what they were trying to do, and I think they stuck the landing. But it's one of those like too late things because there was so much bad in this.
Baker Mayfield's thrown 5 touchdowns. And
yeah, I didn't want to say that to you. I did notice that.
And Jalen McMillan got 2 of them. And he's sitting on my bench right now with 20 points.
Yeah, I'm starting him with 20 points.
And Adam Thielen got almost 30. And Baker Mayfield almost got 50. You know, I actually legitimately thought about putting Jalen McMillan in. But all the stats and the sort of like, don't put him in.
See, I was the opposite. I was like, you're playing against the Panthers. He's had 3 big weeks in a row. There's no way he's not getting his. And then,
yeah,
here we are.
I thought about putting him in, but they said don't do it, so I didn't do it. I shouldn't trust the experts.
No, because they don't exist.
They don't know, man. Fuck.
It's a useless title.
Fuck. This shit sucks. Sucks almost as much as Nitro, but will it suck as much as Raw? What a segue. December 30th, 1996, Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, New York. Is that where the Knicks play?
No, the Knicks play at Madison Square Garden.
This is dumb. I shouldn't call it Knickerbocker if the Knicks don't play there. That's what that shit stands for. Anyways, let's get into it. We got Monday Night Raw. We got Vince and Jerry the King. And our our first match is Stone Cold Steve Austin and Farouk versus, was supposed to be Jesse James and Savio Vega. What the fuck? And it don't end that way, Joseph. Tell me about it.
So, okay, real quick, before this starts, they have like this like kind of quick bit in the beginning where Brett and Sean do like these like mini vignette promos against each other, which I actually thought was a pretty interesting way to start the show. I actually kind of liked that. Sean refers to himself as a degenerate for the very first time. We have not heard that yet. I really liked it. This won't happen again, by the way. The Degeneration X won't happen again for like another 7 or 8 months. So pump the brakes. We're not there yet. We're not there at all. And then we go right into this match. So here's why I liked this. Okay, number one, it's just a tag team match. They're just throwing bodies that they have. I am fine with this. Number one, they don't have tag teams. They don't have them anymore. They literally broke up the only tag team they had left, basically with Bart and Billy. And so they're just kind of throwing some bodies together. I liked this because of Austin. Austin does such a great job in this. Jesse James comes out and he's singing his theme, and Austin just runs to the ramp and attacks him. Just doesn't even care. Just while he's mid-song, just beats him up. Savio runs in as the tag partner and evens things up. Meanwhile, Farouk seems uninterested in this match. Vin Man loves the term histrionics. I've mentioned this before. He loves using that term. He clearly has no clue what it means because he always misuses it. Brett runs in to check on Jesse James after Austin again attacks him outside of the ring. Brett says he wants to take James's place. And now we actually kind of get some storyline stuff. Specifically, Farouk and Savio Vega are feuding, and Stone Cold and Bret Hart are feuding. So we actually have some storyline stuff now. After the commercial, the ref allows it. I actually think this is cool because Bret is just wrestling in his street clothes to emphasize how he wasn't prepared for the match, but he doesn't care. It's kind of his honor on the line. At one point, Savio Vega lifts Farouk in position for an electric chair drop, and Farouk pleads with him to put him down. After Savio hits the drop, Farouk twitches on the ground, which I personally love that version of overselling. It always makes me laugh, and I just think it's interesting. Vega finally tags in Brett, who works on Farouk and locks in the sharpshooter just to have Crush interfere for the DQ as everyone gangs up on Bret Hart and Vega. And then Ahmed Johnson runs in and he clears house. Ahmed Johnson starts the "you're going down" chants that for some reason the crowd likes. Minus the Ahmed bit, I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and I'm actually giving it an A+. But there's 2 problems here. Number one, there's no way they carry this momentum. And number 2, they've used like 95% of their stars in this one match.
I don't understand it. Like, you're right. The actual match is pretty fun. Austin is great in it. Like you said, just attacking Jesse James just straight up in the middle of his song. But like, why? Why Steve Austin and Farouk versus what? Why? Why did this get put together?
Again, they do get the storylines to work, so I'm okay with it. I don't mind if you do something outrageous like this, if you get the storylines to work, and all the storylines come into play here. Savio Vega will very soon join the Nation of Domination. He is kind of feuding with Farouk. Ahmed Johnson, who is definitely feuding with Farouk, gets his time. So you got everything in play. And unlike Nitro, they've only got an hour to do it. So they're at least taking a bunch of their storylines and interweaving them to make it work. So I'm okay with that. But again, they did use 95% of their stars, which is not a good move for them.
Well, up next, we got Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Flash Funk. That's all right.
That's
right?
True. That's true.
WWF Intercontinental title. This card is amazing. Tell me.
I do like this. Hunter has a picture-in-picture, and he says Funk doesn't deserve to be in the ring with him, let alone have an Intercontinental Championship match. Hunter says that when he gets done with Goldust at the Royal Rumble, he will show Marlena what a real man is like. That's just kind of a repeat line from the previous week. All right, whatever. Goldust and Marlena are in the crowd again. Jerry Lawler makes gay jokes about Goldust, and for my own sanity, I am not writing them down. Jerry eventually grabs a mic to threaten Goldust and calls him a freak. With Jerry distracting everyone, Hunter hits Funk with the Ice title, and he gets the 1-2-3. Goldust comes down and chases off Jerry. Hunter attacks Goldust from behind, but Flash Funk fends him off, throws him back into the ring, beats him up a little bit, and hits a 450 splash. Overall, I like this, minus essentially the Jerry stuff, but everything else was kind of okay. I gave it a B-. It's not amazing, but it was at least watchable.
I'm just in a dark place right now.
You are in a dark place because this has not been a horrible episode, and you're just like, shit, it's fucking shit. It's all shit.
Tyrone Tracy just lost some yards.
32, oh, man.
32%.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me 32 yards. I was like, how the fuck did he do that?
No, I'm losing. I got a 32% chance of winning now, down from 33.
Gotcha.
All around me are familiar faces. Anyways, main event. Main event. And we got JR on commentary because Jerry in the main event. What?
Well, hold on. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Yeah, I know. We got some interviews.
Yeah.
We got main event interviews. I'm getting there, bro. I'm just saying that
all I'm saying is you're talking about main event, but we're not even there.
Look, the point I'm trying to say is JR on commentary now, and he tells us that it's going to be Brett and Vader next week, and Sean's going to be on the mic.
Yes.
And then they go to the video. See, I had this all planned out. This is like poetry. It rhymes. And Bret Hart.
I almost spit out my water. I love
Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, face-to-face interview. Tell me about it.
JR mentions, like you said, that it's, he mentions that, but he also mentions that it's Shawn versus Sid for the WWF title at the Royal Rumble, and that Brett has the chance in the Royal Rumble for the #1 contendership, which I thought made a lot of sense. Shawn says, like you mentioned, that he will be at commentary, but he won't dare interfere. As we all know, 1997 Shawn is a good guy Shawn. JR says that they will start the interview with Shawn, who says, whoa, that's Bret the Hitman Hart. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. I wouldn't dare think of going first. Wonderful line, and you can tell Bret wants to deck him badly. He mimics bowing to Bret, calls himself a degenerate again, and calls Bret the Almighty One, and that he should go first, which got maximum lulls for me. I loved it. Bret says Shawn's whole attitude is disrespectful. Kind of not untrue. He says it's funny that Shawn claims to respect Jose Lothario, his mentor, but when Jose jumped up on the apron and helped Shawn lose, the next day, Jose apologized for interfering. But Shawn hasn't learned that respect or integrity from his mentor. This is a really good thought, but typical Bret bounces around it instead of just saying it, which weakens its impact. What I said, he said, took him like 10 more lines to get to. And by the time he delivers the line that has any impact, it doesn't really mean anything. What he's saying is basically, when Shawn cost him the belt, there was no apology from Shawn. Again, a good line, and this is delivered immediately, which makes it work a lot better. Bret says after last year's WrestleMania, when Bret was screwed out of the title, Bret's words, that Shawn said he would carry the belt with the same pride and class that Bret did, but he never came close. Another good line from Bret. Bret says there was a time when his two sons used to look up to Shawn, but that he hit the bottom of the barrel when he posed for Playgirl. At this point, Bret's mic keeps cutting out, making it kind of hard to understand him. This is in no way Bret's fault. It's just a technical issue. I think JR switches mics with him real quickly so he can start working or getting back into the promo. He says he doesn't even think girls buy that magazine. Then the women in the audience seem to disagree. Bret says Shawn degraded the WWF title and then strongly implies that Shawn is gay. Shawn starts taking off his jacket, almost implying like he's ready to fight. Bret says he looks forward to when they finally wrestle because all the dancing in the world won't save him because he will kick his ass because he can. Sean says he hopes Brett got that bug out of his butt finally. He wants to start with the role model stuff because, Hitman, I've seen you on the road, and bro, you ain't no role model. Really good line. He says that's fact number one, and he has a long way to go. And then this is where everything derails.
Well, I would say, and you know that line pissed Brett off.
Oh, absolutely. Ooh. Absolutely. And then at this point, everything derails. This really started off really well, and then it kind of derails here. After he says he has a long way to go, Sid comes out to the ring. Sean tosses him the mic, and Sid takes it. Says it takes a lot for him to stand back and listen because he has played the game with both men, and they have lost, and now they're talking about his title, which I actually thought that was a pretty clever line from Sid. He wants real competition, and then Taker's music hits, and he comes out. Then Vader attacks, and Taker beats him off. Also, they fight. Taker and Sid go head-to-head, also face-to-face. Brett goes to leave the ring, and Sean lifts the rope to give him a low blow, then jumps outside and fights Sid as we fade to commercial. This segment had the makings for an all-timer, in my opinion, but convoluted booking halted his momentum. Brett got to air his grievances, and before Sean could cook, you could tell that he was prepping a gourmet meal. All hell broke loose. The segment was centered around Brett and Sean's mutual animosity and was devalued by everything else. I would have loved for Sean to have had his turn, and right as it looks like the two men are going to come to blows, Sid comes out and delivers his lines, which I do think actually worked quite well from Sid. Taker's gong hits, and Taker stares on as the show closes, and commentary wonders what this could mean. But instead, Vader's involved for some reason, and we still don't have a match to follow. We still have a match to follow this, which this probably should have ended the show. It feels like an end to a show, but we have a match instead after this, which makes no fucking sense from a booking standpoint. It gets weird. I was going to give this an A at the first half of this. Unfortunately, because everything else, I'm giving it a B-.
And we got 2 minutes left, so let's do a match. Goldust versus Jerry Lawler. Tell me about it. I mean, literally, there's 2 minutes of runtime left.
Hunter and Honky Tonk Man are at commentary. Goldust targets Hunter, who hides behind Vin Man, which was quite funny, and Jerry takes advantage. Hunter goes and grabs Marlena to take her away, but Mark Marrow stops him. Hunter tosses Marlena into Marrow, and Goldust charges Hunter, who dodges, and Goldust hits both Marlena and Mark Marrow, and the match gets called off, with Jerry winning via countout. Marlena is hurt as the show closes. This, to me, has Vince Russo written all over it, because it is overbooked to hell. Really, the end of the last segment and this whole segment right here are just super overbooked. I think it's a mostly good show, to be honest, but this was what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, it's just chaos. I mean, the whole ending is just kind of chaos. Like you said, it felt like it ended, but then it didn't end.
Yeah.
Because we had a 2-minute match to get through. It's if I was Vince, I just would have called an audible and just been fucking done. We would just figure out a way to pad out the 2-minute runtime that was left, and just have Sean dance in the ring for a while, for 2 minutes, and do his sexy boy dance or something. I don't know, because you got this Jerry Lawler Goldust match, and Hunter, I guess, is trying to steal Marlena, and Mark Marrow says no, stop trying to steal people's women. Good guy, Mark.
Yeah.
And then what? I don't know who won, Joseph, because I actually kind of don't know this week.
You might be surprised. I'm giving this to Raw. Outside of really the last thing, the show was mostly good. The last thing was bad, but everything else was pretty consistently decent.
I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of I kind of wish Nuclear War won tonight. Because I didn't really like Nitro. Just was not good. Just a lot of just not good matches. But I hate Raw so much right now that I just don't know if I can ever forgive it. And so I think I'm just gonna say no. I'm just gonna say no. I'm not gonna do it. This is our show. These are our rules. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it because I think it's very close this week, which is a testament to how bad Nitro was.
Yes.
But I just feel like in good conscience, I can't give it to Raw because of how much they've hurt me.
Because it's not like Raw earned it. They're just
No.
not quite as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think where Raw kind of shined this week is that they do storylines and they stick to them, even though there was a lot of it going on. Like at the end, they were trying to pack in like 40 storylines into 4 minutes. But at least like these are storylines I know and understand.
Yeah.
Where on WCW, it's like, oh, we're bringing back that storyline. I thought we were done with that.
I do feel like if Raw had a second hour like Nitro had, the storylines really would have been able to breathe if they had some of the same ideas. Because some of the storyline progressions made a lot of sense to me, but they were, like you said, they're just so cramped.
Yeah, I just don't like it. Like any of it. I'm done. It all sucked. I hate it. WCW is not good, but Raw once bitten, twice shy, my friend. Like I just can't give it to you in good conscience because it still wasn't good. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't good. And Nitro just wasn't good. You know, so don't watch these episodes. Skip these. I know some of you are watching with us. Just skip this one.
Yeah, I mean, you need to know that Giant got kicked out of the NWO. There you go.
That's it. We've told you. You've got everything you need. And Sean and Brett are getting personal, and we really like that because it's funny, but also you don't need it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get personal for a long time, so you don't need to watch this particular episode. Anyways, that does it for us. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We appreciate our Patreon subscribers. We appreciate all of you. Stay tuned. We're going to keep doing this through the new year. Netflix isn't going to stop us. Because fuck them and fuck Reed Hastings for not putting the entire library on Netflix. Do it. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
I think I'm going to scare him into doing it, though.
Absolutely, you will.
Like, they're like, dude, this guy with 115-person podcast keeps telling me to fuck off if we don't put the library on. So we got to do it. Do it.
Buy this shirt. Hey everybody, it's Joseph, and guess what? Not only can you listen to us every Monday on Spotify, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Podcasts as well. Just search for Monday Night Wars Podcasts. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at MON Night Wars Pod, on Instagram at Monday Night Wars Podcast, or just email us at mnwpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, subscribe to our Patreon at Monday Night Wars Podcast. For $2 a month, you get every pay-per-view from WCW and WWF during this era, as well as additional content later on. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you here next time on the Monday Night Wars Podcast.